So, we got a good chunk of time left, so we got about 20 minutes. Comments, questions?
Alright. Obviously, Metal Alchemist had two different animes, but the first third or so being the same, and they two go off in completely different directions. As far as race is concerned, I think the first one does a lot more with it in terms of, you know, the Ishmals and whatever. As far as philosophy goes, and again, it's like completely different, what could you derive from the first anime?
Here's the thing about the first anime. Back in high school and college, my friends and I would marathon anime. We would not watch a series a few episodes at a time, we would just marathon the whole series. So we marathoned the first FMA anime. By about episode 15, I realized I was really sick and running a fever. By about episode 30, I was barely conscious. For the next 2 years, I was firmly convinced that what I remembered of the ending of the first anime was a fever dream. Because I could not believe that they could possibly have ended the series that stupidly. Well, turns out it wasn't a dream. And that would be why I watched it that one time. I've never watched it again. So I really can't speak to the philosophy contained with it. In fact, I barely remember it, again, because I was kind of drifting in and out of consciousness. And so I still can't be completely sure what really happened and what I imagined.
Have you seen Conquer Shambhala?
I have not.
No.
What? Sorry.
Is that good?
You really need to.
Because I avoided it on the grounds that it was the first anime.
You really
It
need
is
to.
really interesting.
The ending is stupid, but the movie is good.
Okay, so it's just like the first anime. It's good, it's good, it's good, and then the ending is stupid.
Yeah. Well, like you're wanting more though.
For me, the second anime fulfills my desire for more, and it's so awesome. Who needs anything else?
I just
What
hate
about
the
the Full Metal Alchemist movie with that parallel unit?
I think that's Conquer of
Yeah,
Shambhala.
that's
Conquer of
Shambhala.
Shambhala.
Is what?
That's what the Nazis
where it's the
were.
parallel world where one went with alchemy and one went with regular science.
Yeah.
Surprised they never, at that time, they got a tank and everything else, but they never developed an airplane.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, I think that's alchemy at work, where they can make heavy metals really easily, but their machinery is a little lags behind their ability to make metals. So they can make a tank with alchemy. You know, you can make all those metals and things, but they don't have necessarily the technical know-how to make. On the other hand, they can make automails. So what the it's kind of schizo.
There's no need because it's a landlocked country.
This is true.
Oh yes, I noticed that you talked about the fall of fascist regimes, and one of the things that I noticed in the Brotherhood series is one of the things they did was when Mustang confronted Wrath for the first time, all his men were sent away from him. 2 of them were actually sent to war fronts. Like you said, they were sent to the front, and the people that ultimately attacked Central in their redemption quest were the North and the East outposts, which were on non-combat or at the very least peaceful fronts.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it happens. Because what happens is, typically in an authoritarian regime, your best hope for rising up is the military. In a military, your best hope for rising up the ranks is to be in combat. If an authoritarian regime stops expanding, there's a lot less opportunity to be in combat, so the people who aren't in combat start getting kind of itchy. They're like, I want to move up. How am I going to move up? Well, I could kill everyone at the top, and that's effectively what happens. That's what happened in, like I said, that's what happened to the Ottomans. This is one of my favorite things. This is why I think history is awesome. There are 2 reasons the Ottoman Empire had a big collapse in the 17th century. One is they stopped expanding, and one is they stopped expanding and their military kind of turned on them. The other is their entire treasury was in silver, and the Spanish discovered Central America. And the price of silver went, and they couldn't pay their military anymore. Anyway, Anybody else?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about personal redemption.
Mhm.
If you look at the case study of Scar and Roy Mustang, because they've committed murders before, the story almost presents a situation where they can only redeem themselves fully if they give their own life in exchange. What do you think about this?
Well, like I said, there is no equivalent exchange for human life.
Right.
So, in a sense, really, that is the only way to redeem yourself for having removed a life from the world is, you know, in one sense you can see it that way, is to remove your own life. Another way...
Life isn't equivalent to...
I know. Their own life isn't equivalent, and that's the thing, is because in Full Metal Alchemist, a human life is effectively of infinite worth.
Right.
You know, 50 human lives is worth exactly the same amount as one human life. Infinite. So you can sacrifice your own life, that doesn't make up for the life you've lost because the life you've taken is unique. You can save 100 people's lives, but none of those are the life that was lost. And that's what I mean about the difference, you know, between trying to recreate what you destroyed and trying to find some way to make up for it. Ultimately, redemption is personal. You are redeemed. It's personal and it's social. Partially, you're redeemed when you feel redeemed. Partially, you're redeemed when the people around you decide you're redeemed. And you have to do both. You have to prove to the people around you that you're not a monster, that you are redeemed. You're not going to do it again. B, you've in some way made up for what you did. And you have to prove it to yourself. And and sometimes, like in the case of Scar, I think it will be harder for him to prove it to other people than to prove it to himself. In fact, I think, honestly, he's never going to be able to safely go among Amestrians again. He's going to have to stay among Ishbalans for the rest of his life, because I don't think Amestrians will ever forgive him.
He's not going to be able to integrate again and make a
Not him, but he can help other people do it.
do that. Okay.
But I think in the case of Ed and Roy, in the case of Roy, nobody minds what he did except him and the other people who were there.
Right.
To the rest of Amestris, he's a hero. It's his own, it's feeling redeemed that he's seeking. It's not other people saying, yeah, you're redeemed. It's him feeling like he's redeemed. And I think he believes he never will, which is why I think he's seeking to die. But at the same time, he knows he has to make up for what he did, so he's not just going to kill himself. He's going to die trying to make up for what he did.
Is that very similar to the Roy Mustang case when he wants...
That's what I was talking about, is Roy.
Yeah, there was one scene, I think when he had, what was it? Was it Pride, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the little...
Yeah, that was Pride, the guy.
That was Pride. And he was so angry that he set up, that he killed...
No, I'm sorry, that was Envy. I'm sorry.
Oh,
That was
Envy, okay, Envy. He was the guy who killed his friend...
Yeah, Hughes.
His friend Hughes. Named Hughes, right?
Yeah.
So, he tried to burn him up with the, and Lieutenant Hawkeye was trying to stop him. You know?
Well, that's related to that thing I was talking about, the difference between revenge and redemption.
Mm-hmm.
He was, as you see, you know, in his facial expression and so forth, when he's fighting Envy, he was on the verge, he was not he was on the verge of becoming the monster again. The way he's depicted when he's fighting Envy, the way he looks, with his eyes and so forth, looks very similar to the way, it actually looks very much like the picture of Scar I had up here. You know, there's a lot of parallels between Roy and Scar. And in that scene, wow, he looks a lot like that picture of Scar. He also looks a lot like the way Scar remembers the Ishbalan genocide.
Mm-hmm.
Mustang is on the point, you know, Mustang is not acting out of his desire to redeem himself, he's acting out of hate and rage and pain. And that's exactly what, you know, it's also paralleling to Winry, where she chooses, when she, you know, that shot I showed of her with the gun. She's got all this rage and hate and pain that she chooses not to act on.
So I guess you could be talking about the difference between it's not even the why is almost as important as the what, where it was when Roy snaps on Envious, so you're talking about is he killing Envy because Envy's a bad person and he'll spread terror, or is he killing him to revenge his best friend's death?
Exactly. Exactly. And if he's killing Envy to revenge his best friend's death, then that means he's back in the creature acting out of anger and acting out of hate, who cannot be trusted. Somebody who can do that cannot be trusted to be dictator of the country. You know? So that's exactly the situation that he told Riza to shoot him if he's ever in.